Hi there, I'm Jim Bradley. I write the blog Under the Castor Oil Tree, and I'm going to read some of my posts from the last week. And I appreciate you watching this. And all the opinions here, and some of them are very political, all the opinions here are mine and mine only. Okay? We'll start with something that isn't political at all. It's called What I Suck At. I'm really terrible at foreign languages. I graduated from college Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. I swear I did. Even though I got 2 C's in my 2 years of German. At Harvard, I did the first year of Greek. It was Koine Greek, the Greek of the street and of the New Testament. And I did pretty well. But my second year, I took classical Greek and couldn't manage all the declensions. I barely speak English well, what with my Appalachian accent and all. So I just can't manage other languages. I did meet Bern, my wife, in Latin class in high school. I was considering applying to a college, Scheimer College, that required a year of foreign language. I didn't apply there, but Latin gave me the love of my life. I was a senior and she was a freshman. Cradle robber, I know. I'm not sure why I suck at foreign languages, but I do. When the Latino congregation at St. John's in Waterbury was growing, the bishop wanted me to do an intensive Spanish language program. Armando Gonzalez, the Spanish priest, intervened and told the bishop that he wanted his people to learn to speak English so they could speak to me. I've thanked him for that ever since. I just don't do languages. In spite of my academic pedigree, I know that makes me look stupid. So be it. I suck at languages. This was from Monday, July 27th. It's called So Many Robins and One Blackbird. I was out on our deck a few minutes ago, and there were 7 robins waiting their turn at the bird bath. One robin cut line, but retreated to let the robin get a drink and wash itself. So many robins. They lift my heart. The blackbird wasn't in our backyard. It was in Washington, D.C. The president, who will not be named here, announced to reporters that as he flew off in a helicopter, that he would not visit the Capitol Rotunda to show respect for Congressman John Lewis, whose body lay in state in those hallowed halls. John Lewis was a civil rights icon and the conscience of the Congress, and the president won't go to pay his respects. The last thing the president would like to be called is a blackbird. As in burnt for not showing respect for one of the great men of our times. Sorry, Mr. President, but it's true. Oh Lord, another very political thing. It's Tuesday, July the 28th, and it's called Bill Barr. If you watched any of the testimony of Bill Barr before the House today, you saw how polarized our political system is. Democrats were all over him about everything, doing the president's will instead of upholding the law, using federal officers against peaceful protesters, clearing Lafayette Square for a photo op for the president, denying there is systemic racism in the police, having almost no black lawyers in the Justice Department, not heartily supporting voting rights, backing up the president's lie, on and on and on. The Republicans on the committee praised him for his good work, justified everything he had done that goes against the separation of powers, defended him for supporting the president, labeled protesters as violent, on and on and on. I don't think we as a nation have been so divided since the beginning of the Civil War. Something must be done to put out the brush fires of political division, deal as a nation with the pandemic, and bring us closer together again. For my money, and it's my money, that means voting out the president and letting Joe Biden work across the aisle when he can to make the United States united again. Taking control of the Senate by the Democrats would be even better. I fear for our democracy and for our safety. I published this on Wednesday, July 29th. It's called Harry Kyle Parks Jr., 1947, 2004. Rest in peace, old friend. I did a series of posts about Kyle Parks several years ago. I want to print them here, all here, as a memorial to our friendship. This was from Wednesday, February 26th, 2014. It's called Searching for Kyle. I wrote here a week ago about a photo my friend Mike Miano sent me. Since then, I've started getting obsessed about finding Kyle Parks, who was my best friend from, I don't know, age 5 until the first year of college. He's in the picture as well, sitting with Jane Jasper, who I always thought was really cool and pretty and sweet, but I never asked her out. But I Googled Harry Kyle Parks Jr. and then Kyle Parks and got nothing. And not one thing. I didn't think you could avoid being found these days, but apparently you can. I'll go back when I finish this and try a search with stuff I know about him, that he was a Navy pilot and went to Virginia Tech, but I'm not sure. He's someone I shared my life with for longer than anyone, than Bern and Josh and Mimi, and I'd like to find him, to get in touch with him, since we are both in our 60s now, and see what he has come to, if anything. Maybe I'm just getting old and searching for the past. I don't know about that, but I would like to find Kyle. The next one is from Thursday, February the 27th, 2014. It's called Finding Kyle. Charles, one of my friends who reads my blog, found the obituary of Kyle's father, Harry Kyle Parks Sr., on a website called locatethegrave.com or something like that. Really, is that a website, people, besides Charles and Fred and Bill, three people I meet with in the group I go to every Tuesday morning, who between them know, I think, everything, come to believe, um, actually know about. Anyway, the 2001 obit said his surviving son, Harry Kyle Parks Jr., lived in Bluefield, West Virginia, a town of 25,000 when I was growing up. Probably much less now because the business of Bluefield was to be the city for the coal fields. And the coal fields aren't there anymore. We went to Bluefield, which was called Nature's Air-Conditioned City. And lemonade was freely given out by the Chamber of Commerce when the temperature reached 90 degrees. I never got free lemonade all the time I was there. When we wanted to shop, that's where we went, Bluefield. It was 25 miles away from Anawalt, where Kyle and I grew up, across either Peel Chestnut Mountain or Elkhorn Mountain. Either way, it was almost an hour's drive. Since the mountains were significant and the roads across them, either way, it was almost an hour's drive. Most of the roads on the mountains were KYA, kiss your ass turns, and curves. Either way you went, through Bluewell. Bluewell, West Virginia was where Lindsay's drive-in was. And no one had ever went to Bluefield without stopping at Lindsay's to get a hot dog with chili and slaw. And I still long for a Lindsay's hot dog. So I emailed Charles to thank him for actually finding Kyle when I couldn't, and told him I'd try to write a letter if he was still in Bluefield. But Charles emailed me back Kyle's address and phone number. I'm not sure of the website he used, maybe Jim's friends addresses and phone numbers.com, but I am delighted. I'll write Kyle a letter tonight, since even Charles couldn't provide his email address, and see if he'd like to be in contact. I'll send the letter in the morning, and I'll send the picture that started all this. Kyle and I haven't spoken or seen each other since we were 21 or 22. So it's a ghost from the past, 44 years or so. Who knew how he would react? We wouldn't part on bad terms in any way. Our lives' journey were just leading in different directions. His to the military, and mine to protest movement. I've thought and thought about who I've known, who weren't family, longer than I knew Kyle. Surely Mike Niano, who started all this nonsense by searching for a long lost friend who I've known where he was and have sporadic contact with since high school and college. And maybe Mike Lawless, though the last 10 years I haven't been in contact with him. And then there is John in New Haven, who I met when Vern and I lived in Morgantown. And he was in graduate school, or maybe even when we were both in college. And since the years since college have been many more than the years before college, John is surely the person I've known longest and still relate to, and often and always see. He goes on vacation with Vern and me, and Mimi and Tim, and Sherry, who I've known since 1980. But this Kyle thing has gotten under my skin, and I've written a letter. I'll let you know what happens. This is from Saturday, March 1st, 2014. It's called Losing Kyle. I've written a series of posts, all caused by my high school and college friend, Mike Miana. Mikey sent me a photo at Burn and Ironia, a group of people sitting around the table. I had facial hair, so I was in college. I expect this was a party in 66 or 67, or maybe even the Christmas of 65. Long, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away. One of the people at the table was Kyle Parks, who grew up about 200 yards from me, and who I knew from the Antelope Methodist Church before we even started school. Both our mothers were school teachers, and though my dad did coal mining, ran a bar, worked with my uncle in the H&S grocery store, and picked up and delivered dry cleaning, and eventually sold insurance. Oh, Lord. Eventually sold insurance. He eventually sold insurance just like Kyle's dad. Since we were both pretty smart, we were in the same classes for 12 years, often competing for the first chair. Teachers reseated kids where I grew up after each test, highlighting the child who got the highest grade by putting them in the first chair. I don't think they do that in this era of everyone gets a trophy, but I was sure that it was sure a motivation for me. I hadn't seen Kyle since we were in college. He at VPI, now Virginia Tech, and me at West Virginia University. That photo made me realize he was my very first friend, and I tried to find him online, but couldn't, being a Luddite. But my friend Charles, who reads my blog, found Kyle's father, Kyle Sr.'s obit, and an address in Bluefield, West Virginia. I was ecstatic. I wrote him a letter on Thursday night, addressed it, and put a forever stamp on it, and carried it around into the book I was reading. Then this morning, I got another email from Mike Miana. It was Kyle's obituary. I suddenly realized why I had passed up a dozen or more opportunities to mail that letter on Friday, including leaving it on the basket on their front porch. He died in Raleigh, North Carolina on Tuesday, September the 7th, 2004 at RX Healthcare from complications from a heart attack. I discovered after his military life, he had worked for 25 years as a mechanical engineer for Goodyear in Danville, Virginia. I also discovered his hobbies were model building, cycling, and cheering for the Virginia Tech Hokies. He moved from Bluefield, where my letter was, to Cary, North Carolina, to be near his grandchildren. His brother Ralph, who was younger than both of us, was mentioned in the obit, but I knew that he had already died. But he had two daughters, Mandy in Apex, North Carolina, and Kelly in LA. His grandsons were from Mandy and two sisters who I vaguely remember. No mention of a predeceased wife or any wife at all, which caused me pain because Kyle's picture could have been in the dictionary beside the definition of straight arrow. The Kyle I remember was no nonsense and down the middle. A divorce might have pained him mightily. I reread the letter I wrote to my friend, who I hadn't seen in 4 decades and hadn't known was dead for a decade at that time. It wasn't good enough to restart a friendship after all that time. I told him about my life since we talked, but it wasn't good enough to go and conquer our years of friendship on it. I tend to have serial friendships. I move on and make new friends. Always have. I knew Mike Miano and John Anderson from my past. I know them still, though I haven't seen Mike for a long time. And he has a pocket cross of mine that I won't get back unless I see him. And though I see John, who I've known for well over 30 years, since he lives in New Haven, we share many friends, I need to ponder what I've lost by moving on the way I tend to do. I've lost Kyle. That's obvious. I had already imagined establishing an email friendship with him once he got my letter. But that, alas, will never happen. Not in this life or the next or anywhere in between. I've lost a lot of people that I truly love because, like a duck sheds water, I shed friends and move on. It's worked for me, and I've always had lots of friends. But after seeking, finding, and losing Kyle, all in 1 week, I need to ponder friendship for a while. I'll let you know what shows up. And this last one about Kyle is Sunday, March the 2nd, 2014. It's called Losing Childhood 2. If you've been following my post about my oldest friend, Kyle Farms, you know he was in the picture Mike Miano sent me, and Charles helped me find him. Then Mike again found Kyle's obituary 10 years ago. I haven't thought of him much. It's been 40 plus years since we've been together, but he was always in the background. Kyle and Billy Bridgman and Joe Tagnese, the kids I grew up with, these were the people of my childhood. And now I know 10 years too late that Kyle is dead. Towhead he was, very short, almost white hair, very put together, a straight arrow, a good guy, good guy was Kyle. What I've been pondering is that with my knowledge of his death, my childhood has died as well. Should have long ago, I guess. But the thing about me is this: I've had a remarkable, happy, and wondrous life. When that happens, I think, your childhood hangs around. There was nothing bad about my childhood or adolescence or young adulthood or my life since then. I have been profoundly lucky and wondrously blessed. So my childhood was still alive and well and fine until I figured out that Kyle was dead. It's like the rope to the anchor broke, and my boat is now slipping out to sea. I don't want to be dramatic. After all, I went 40 years before trying to find Kyle. But knowing he's dead is stunningly profound to me. I'm fine. I'm always fine. That's the uneventful and rather boring story of my life. I've always been fine and will be even now. But something has left the room of my life. Childhood, I think. It's silly to say I miss Kyle since I let him float out there for over 4 decades without trying to find him. But now that I know now much delayed desire to find him is thwarted, well, something has left the room in my life. I am growing older, something Kyle never got to do. And I'm growing older. No, he's not there to look for anymore. I'm going to sit with this for a long time. I need to ponder my childhood and how it seems to not be there anymore. This is from Thursday, July 30th. It's called Give Me a Break. And if you're leaning for the president, you probably want to hear this, okay? Give me a break. The president wants to delay the elections since mail-in ballots will be rigged. Give me a break. Several states have been doing that mail-in voting for years and had no problem. And this on the day of the funeral of Congressman John Lewis, at which 3 former presidents, Bush, Clinton, and Obama, spoke in one of the longest and most deserved send-offs anyone has ever deserved. And the current president didn't even go up to the rotunda at the Capitol to pay tribute to a truly great American. Byrne watched the whole funeral and cried many times. I watched Obama's eulogy and realized it was a campaign speech for Biden, and a great one, and one Lewis would have approved of and applauded. Such a contrast, Obama and our current president. Authority, calmness, wisdom, and honor, as opposed to the current president's complaints, refusal to take responsibility, whining, and lies. Why are Dr. Fauci's approval ratings so high? He asked the other day. And nobody likes me. Maybe because Dr. Fauci is trying to save lives, and you are letting people die because of months of inaction. My heart breaks for our country and the threat to our democracy. My heart soared to hear those 3 former presidents' words. John Lewis died for freedom and equality. We must, each of us, find a way and fight hard for those sacred values. So finally, this is a little lighter. It's called So Here's a Question. My ear attaches to my head at the bottom of my earlobe. I don't know if you can see it. Is your ear detached from your head? I have problems wearing masks that go around your ears. They tend to slip off from the bottom. Think about it. How many people have no bottom earlobe to speak of for the mask to wrap around? Or do you have no problem since you have a detached earlobe? It's something to ponder. Earlobes and masks. I'm Jim Bradley, the author of this blog, the Under the Castro Oil Tree, and I'm so glad to have shared these minutes with you, and I hope that you are fine, and I hope to see you again. Thank you very much.